Yo, what's good? My name's Kang, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why you should consider front-loading your 401k. The 401k is one of the best accounts that Americans can use to work towards their financial freedom. It's easy-ish to understand. It lowers your taxable income, and it lets you grow in your investments tax-deferred. A lot of employers will match your contributions, usually up to a certain amount. What's common from my research is 50% of every dollar you contribute up to a certain percentage of your salary, say 6% or 3%. So let's say, for example, you make $100,000. In this scenario, they would contribute 50 cents on every dollar that you invest up to 6% of your salary, which is $6,000. Now, what this means is that you could be getting $3,000 completely for free. And if you think about it, there's no better investment than your employee match. In the previous example, if you contribute $6,000, your employer will contribute $3,000. This is an instant return of 50%. There are very few investments out there that can give you an immediate or a guaranteed return, let alone one that is 50%. So regardless of how much your contributions gets maxed, I think you should always consider hitting the maximum limit of your contribution in order to get that free money. But why should you consider front-loading it? To answer this question, let's first understand what front-loading is. Front-loading is basically loading up your 401k as fast as possible and contributing a large portion of your salary right away. But why is this useful? Well, first, you have the power of lump sum payments. We've all heard time and time again that time in the market is better than timing the market. That's a lot of time. By making large investments at the beginning of the year, you're able to let your investment compound over a longer time and grow. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Kang, what happens if the market crashes halfway throughout the year? And while that's totally a fair point, there's been a lot of research that has been done on the argument of lump sum versus dollar cost averaging. And it turns out 2 out of 3 times lump sum investing wins. If, for example, you look at the S&P 500 in 2021, you can see that it was at its lowest point basically in January. So you would have made the most money if you invested earlier. But the story is not the same if you look at 2020. As you can see, the market crashed midway throughout the year, so you would have been much better off dollar cost averaging. But if you zoom out of both of these graphs, you can see that time is really the key factor here. Hence, why lump sum wins 2 out of 3 times. And the second reason I think that this strategy is good is on top of having more time in the market, you can ensure that you get that full employer match. For example, if for whatever reason you quit your job in the middle of the year, whether it's to go get a better job, go back to school, or even go on vacation, there's a chance that you won't fully hit your employer match. Another more very specific example of this is if you leave your job and you go work at another job, it's very possible that you can get 2 employer matches. Now, this is under the assumption that you contribute less than the contribution limit, which in 2022 is $20,500. But to be honest, this is a super niche situation, and I don't think most people will be able to take advantage of this unless you know that you're gonna be switching jobs or going to school or something like that. On top of that, most companies aren't stupid, and there are ways that you can do this, so they have a lot of obstacles in place to make sure that you don't do something like this. For example, some employers match your paycheck instead of your yearly salary, so that it's actually harder to front load your 401k in the earlier months of the year. And other companies will have multi-tiered system, which means you'll get some of your contributions in the first year, some of your contributions in the second and third and fourth, so on, to incentivize you to stay at that company for longer. And some companies don't even offer a 401k match at all, which brings me to the first major drawback of this strategy: the complexity. With how different each 401k plan is, it may not be worth it for your plan specifically to do this front-loading strategy. And the second major disadvantage is cash flow. Front-loading messes up your cash flow because it makes your paychecks really small and then really big after a couple of months. This adds to the complexity of budgeting, and for most people, they'll just be like, whatever, I'll just take it even amounts so that I can have an even paycheck every single month because it's predictable. On top of that, you have to be very smart with your money or be in a very good financial state to be able to contribute such large percentages of your paycheck at the beginning of the year. For these 2 reasons, I think that for the majority of people, aggressive front-loading is going to be more of a headache than it's worth. However, if you're a high earner or specifically someone working in tech, I think this could be a really great idea. Tech salaries can be pretty high and oftentimes have signing bonuses and yearly bonuses baked into their offers. On top of that, these companies usually offer very generous 401k plans. With those 2 factors combined, I don't think it'll be that hard for a lot of tech people to front-load their 401k within the first couple months of the year with the proper amount of planning. I know that this can be applied to a lot of other fields as well, but tech is just what I'm familiar with. Regardless of your salary level, I think that you should try to take advantage of your 401k match because it's basically free money. Now, the question if you should prioritize your 401k over other retirement accounts is a completely different question for a completely different video. Personally, I will sort of front load my 401k. My company has a very generous 401k program that matches 50% of every dollar I contribute up to no limit. Because of this very generous match, I want to get the most out of my employer match as fast as possible. But at the same time, I don't want to stretch myself too thin, so I'm going to be taking advantage of this employer match over the first 6 months of the year rather than the first couple of paychecks. And for my Canadian friends that are watching, a lot of these same ideas can be applied to the RRSP as well. Overall, I think that front loading could be a great strategy to use, But with the amount of planning and overhead that's needed in order to execute this plan properly, I don't think that it's worth the hassle for the majority of people. But if you do want to watch a video that is for everyone, you can watch this video right here where it goes over why you should be paying yourself first.